what's up? Sat Shri Akal, Saran, and Hesar Pyar. I hope all of you are doing absolutely fine. Welcome back to Honest Discussion Series. And in today's episode, I have with me Ishan Sethi, the guy who cracked around 8 world top 100 universities with a 100% scholarship. In this episode, I unfold his untold story in which he talks about his journey till now, his interest in public policy, and what he plans to do in future. With that, we also talk about the scholarship and how to write the perfect statement of purpose. If you like the episode, you can follow and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and please jaldi se 1K karwa do. And with that, also follow us on Spotify and help me climb the charts. Thank you so much. Enjoy the episode.
You should know, if you really want to just get into these universities, you have to be a good con man or a con woman also. So that's the sad part about these.
A lot of people told me this,
And it did not. I did not succeed in my first attempt. ये जो आप LinkedIn पे viral post देख रहे हैं.
What was the structure which you followed in all these essays? मतलब हर जगह same essay भेजा, कहीं ना कहीं तो tweak करा होएगा दूसरी universities के लिए. So वहाँ कहाँ पे difference आया? I really want to know that. First, is it fine if we can make our essays written from someone else?
Yeah, it's absolutely not fine.
Hello, Ishan. Thank you for coming on the Honest Discussion series. It's an absolute pleasure to have you because I look up to you as my inspiration. I remember like seeing your post LinkedIn पे और वो एकदम से blow up हो गया था ये कौन लड़का है जो आ गया जिसने सारी universities crack कर ली है. And then I was like, I really need to bring him on my podcast. So thank you so much, yaar.
Thank you, Raslin, and hello to everyone who's watching. And Raslin, आपके जरिए जितनी मैं लोगों की help कर सकूं, I'm happy to help.
Thank you, man. You're so humble. Great inspiration. With that, okay, so I really want to dive into your journey. How did you start and how did you incline towards public policy? So if you can just start with your journey.
Sure, Raslin. So I studied economics in my graduation. I did my bachelor's in economics from Delhi University. And sometime towards the end of my second year, I saw my inclination towards the social sector. I actually understood economics as a subject also can be used for social causes.
Yeah.
But at the same time, in college, I was exposed to a certain group of people जिनको मिलके लगा कि दिल्ली के बाहर भी दुनिया है और काफी लोग ऐसे हैं जिनको हम जैसे लोगों की जरूरत है जो खुद को ज्यादा एजुकेटेड समझते हैं, प्रिविलेज समझते हैं. तो my aspirations changed accordingly, and I thought I should channel my efforts more towards bettering others' lives. Also, I felt ये सब एजुकेशन किस काम का अगर किसी और का भला नहीं हो रहा, सिर्फ अपना ही भला कर रहे हो. तो उस तरह से एक मेरा ओरिएंटेशन बनना शुरू हुआ. एंड आई स्टार्टेड माय प्रोफेशनल जर्नी विद टीच फॉर इंडिया. टीच फॉर इंडिया काफी लोगों को पता होगा. इट्स एन एनजीओ दैट वर्क्स इन एजुकेशन. आई वाज अ टीचर फॉर 2 years. आई taught a group of 40 students in Hyderabad. काफी अच्छा था, काफी मजा आया, खुद के बारे में काफी सीखने को मिला, अपनी कमियों के बारे में पता चला. एंड ऑफ कोर्स एजुकेशन सिस्टम में क्या कमियां हैं, क्या लूप होल्स हैं, किस तरह एट एन इंडिविजुअल लेवल, एट ऑर्गेनाइजेशनल लेवल कैसे हम इसको चेंज कर सकते हैं, उसके बारे में बहुत समझ हुई. एंड उसी दौरान आई फेल्ट दैट पॉलिसी मेकिंग एज अ फील्ड इज मोर रेलेवेंट टू टुडेज टाइम बिकॉज हमारे जनरेशन के लोग ज्यादा सोशली कॉन्शियस हो रहे हैं. एंड ऑफ कोर्स यूथ या फिर द पावर ऑफ यूथ को ज्यादा अच्छे से समझा जा रहा है आज कि इस उम्र में पहले जैसे एक्सेप्टेंस नहीं होती थी ब्रॉडली इन गवर्नमेंट स्फीयर की. इस उम्र में तो क्या ही कर लोगे, बट आज वो बदल रहा है. आज 20, 22, 25 साल के लोग काफी कुछ कर रहे हैं, काफी लोग पॉलिटिक्स में घुस रहे हैं, काफी अच्छे पोजीशंस पे पहुंच रहे हैं. सो आई फेल्ट दिस इज अ वेरी रेलेवेंट फील्ड, aligned with my aspirations, but also the need of today's generation. So that way I felt public policy is a good field. But of course, उस time I did not think of applying for a master's straight away. एक मेरे अंदर बस एक आरज़ू सी जागी कि ये करना है, but I knew that I need substantial experience to back whatever I want to do. So I continued my professional journey. 2 years I was with Teach for India, post which I got an opportunity to work with Tata Trusts. Now Tata Trust recruited me and appointed me to work with the state government of Jammu and Kashmir. And I was working with the state government there on sanitation. So my work even though my work was not very well defined, it was mostly आप state government को कैसे figure it out. I thought I thrived in that environment because I was not limited to a certain domain or a certain expectation. The expectation was you use your skills, you use your experience, and figure out where you fit and how you can make sanitation schemes in the state better. So fortunately, I met a lot of very good people, my bosses who were IAS and KAS officers in the state. All of them, I drew a lot of inspiration from them, and I sort of was able to do justice to my job. I felt. उसी दौरान मैंने सारे colleges में apply करना शुरू किया, and it did not. I did not succeed in my first attempt. ये जो आप LinkedIn पे viral
Of
post
course.
देख रहे हो,
I wanted to come to that as well because
Okay.
you continue with that first फिर मैं
yeah
पूछूंगी
finally yeah बहुत लंबा introduction ना हो जाए इसलिए finally so after my stint in JNK which lasted for almost 2 years about 20 months I also got the opportunity to work with a member of parliament Mr. Jyotiraditya Scindia. I was primarily his speech writer and I did some research for him. That also lasted for a good 1 year. And of course, having that work experience with Mr. Scindia made me more aware of the Indian political space. And, just I learned to view things at a national level. And my sort of my orientation also changed accordingly. Yeah, we can move ahead to the next question now.
So the thing you mentioned that on LinkedIn जैसे मैंने डाला था, so a lot of people feel कि एक जो success story आ जाती है ना, वही उनका पहला step होता है, but that's not
Right.
the case, क्योंकि उससे पहले
Yeah.
काफी एक series of failure होता है, and वो शायद हम कभी नहीं showcase कर पाते हैं. But you talked about this कि उससे पहले काफी failure होता. What do you feel कि main reason हो सकता था? Maybe you were not prepared for it, या is there something which really you need to work upon जब आप मास्टर्स के लिए अप्लाई कर रहे हो बाहर, या चीजों का ख्याल रखना चाहिए?
या पहली बात तो लिंक्डइन पे सिर्फ सक्सेसेस दिखाए जाते हैं. बहुत कम लोग बहुत ओपनली अपने फेलियर्स के बारे में भी बताते हैं. सो द होल प्लेटफॉर्म कैन गेट वेरी ओवरवेलमिंग फॉर अ बिगिनर. यार सब लोग इतना अच्छा कर रहे हैं, सब लोग अच्छा नहीं कर रहे हैं, क्लियर कर देना चाहिए ऐसे. आपका सवाल, ओके, सो yeah, there were a series of failures before I started simply because I was not very clear ए कि कहाँ पढ़ना है एंड बी किस तरह अप्लाई किया जाता है, यूनिवर्सिटीज के क्या एक्सपेक्टेशन होते हैं एंड क्या लिखना होता है एसेज में, कुछ ज़्यादा क्लैरिटी नहीं थी. सो आई डिड ट्राई इन 2018 and 19 to only a set of 2-3 colleges and I did not get the outcomes I want. So neither did I go and मेरी खुशकिस्मती की पैंडमिक कुछ टाइम आ गया, तो जाना जहाँ जहाँ एडमिशन हुआ भी था वहाँ मुमकिन ही नहीं हो पाया जाना फिर. And I thought, okay, fine, let's try another year. And this time, let's apply everywhere using my understanding and not shying away from reaching out to people. ये भी एक मेरी में कमजोरी है कि I feel awkward, weird कि यार LinkedIn पे कोई accomplished बंदा या बंदी है तो किस तरह अप्रोच करूँ. This time I did not hold back. I kept it as a priority कि यार अपनी awkwardness को पीछे रखो, जेब में डालो. You should reach out. Some will reply, some will not reply. Some will be very forthcoming with my help, with their help. Some will not be, but it's fine. It's fine to just ask. आप कोई छोटे इंसान नहीं बन गए help मांगने से. So I learned that, and there were a lot of people that helped me, because of which I was able to get the right guidance. And based on the help I got, based on my previous failures के experiences, I was able to strike the right balance. And इस बार जहाँ जहाँ apply किया बात हर जगह बनी.
But that's really crazy and unimaginable, क्योंकि I feel somewhere हर यूनिवर्सिटी का क्राइटेरिया somewhat थोड़ा अलग होता है, तो आपको SOP थोड़ा ट्वीक करना ही पड़ेगा. Supposedly if you're applying for University of Harvard, वो और Oxford का criteria will obviously be different. Let's talk about just public policy, and I think you're going for MSc in policy and evaluation. What's like the exact course?
Okay, the program's name is Masters of Science in Evidence-Based Social Intervention and Policy Evaluation. सबसे पहले तो शिकायत मेरी यही है इनसे कि भाई नाम थोड़ा सिंप्लीफाई करो ताकि बोलने में भी आसानी हो. I'm still figuring out a shortcut to say this. It's an aspect of public policy which primarily deals with how to use data to intervene and create and design policies, but at the same time how to measure the impact using that data.
Got it. So basically, it's like
a small aspect.
it's like integrating scientific methods into public policy, because that's
That's true.
a lot
That's
into
true. In
scope,
fact,
Yeah,
this whole approach has been derived from the medical sciences.
got it.
In the medical sciences, you create a new drug, you test
Yeah,
that drug,
yeah,
you see kitna effective hai.
yeah.
Similarly, you create a new policy, you test it, then you scale it up. So this practice has been borrowed by economics and public policy from the medical sciences.
Got it. Wow. Yeah, so okay. So like my next question would be that what's the major difference you feel कि इंडिया में लैक करता
Okay.
है पब्लिक पॉलिसी को लेके एंड जो बाहर है, बिकॉज एज यू कैन सी लाइक वो इंटीग्रेट कर रहे हैं साइंस को भी आर्ट्स के साथ, whereas in इंडिया में अभी स्टिल पब्लिक पॉलिसी इज वेरी अपकमिंग. अभी तक आई डोंट थिंक एस्टैब्लिश फील्ड हुई है एंड इकोनॉमिक्स
That's
ज्यादा
true.
मोटिव भी नहीं है, टू बी वेरी ऑनेस्ट.
एक तो ये है कि we look up to all the major democracies in the world, and we have derived a huge lot of the system from the UK and the US, among other countries. So as and when they proceed, as and when they develop further, we sort of adopt whatever is working over there. It's good and bad, क्योंकि कभी कभी उनकी चीजें यहाँ पे relevant नहीं भी होती तो भी हम adopt कर लेते हैं. So yeah, public policy is a field which is emerging here now, but it's well established over there.
Yeah.
Those universities have the right know-how, have the right professors, have the right mix of that interdisciplinary subject learning the public policy में needed है. It has come to India now. There are a few programs that I know of which have just started, in fact, but
Yeah, just
they have a lot of promise. So yeah, to answer your question, जो भी यूके और यूएस में होता है उसको यहाँ आने में शायद 25-30 साल लग जाते हैं. तो वो एक चीज यहाँ अभी चल रही है. But I wouldn't say that the colleges in the UK or the US are better in terms of public policy.
Okay.
Our own colleges might also become more relevant to Indian context here. So yeah, वो अभी शायद वो इस वक्त नहीं है क्योंकि it's still emerging. But once these colleges get established, and if you want to work in India itself, it's much better to just study here in India and understand from Indian professors based on Indian case studies.
Learning from the grassroots, basically.
I suppose, yes. I also happen to know cases where organizations now don't readily recruit people who have come from abroad. जो बाहर से पढ़ के आए हैं उनको आसानी से जॉब नहीं मिल रहा है यहाँ पे. जो यहाँ से पढ़ के आए हैं उनको ज्यादा अच्छे से समझ है यहाँ की रियलिटी की.
What's your take on people? Yeah, what's your take on people who just go abroad to settle there? Because a lot of people are going for public policy, they feel like settling there because there are better job prospects.
So to answer in short, it's okay if they want to. Plus, wherever you get opportunities, you are free to go there. It's like a globalization का ये तो फायदा है. और हमारी आबादी इतनी है कि सारी opportunities अपने देश में नहीं मिलती. तो जहाँ पे पहुँच सकते हो पहुँचो, no problem.
Great. With that, if you can just talk, more about your journey. How did you take any help with joining any consultancy firms or something like just going up to them for your essays or something like that, or it was just through LinkedIn or just through your network?
Actually, neither. Okay. I did not use my network a lot, and I was very sure that ये consultancies को तो contact ही नहीं करना है. I was very sure about that simply because I was sure that whatever I have gained in terms of my experience and my knowledge about this process, it should be good enough. So utni conviction thi, and then us time LinkedIn, I had not even joined LinkedIn back then. But I happen to knew a few people who have either been through this process or have studied and come back. So I reached out to them through email, WhatsApp, or other means. And it was a struggle to begin with, very daunting, very overwhelming. It took me maybe 3-4 weeks to fully understand what to write in an essay, how is every university's expectation slightly different, and to come up with my plan with the timelines that, in September I should reach here, in October I should reach here, and how to figure out scholarships. It was a struggle, but if you're open about your struggle to the people around you, it becomes much easier. If you can just reach out to people and say, oh, this is the particular help I need from you, and this is the particular help from me, घर वालों से भी और दोस्तों से भी, so it becomes a little easier for you. So I did that. So it was not a big struggle as it seems initially. After that, it was quite a breeze.
Got it. What's the major difference between the universities in the US and the UK? Like while writing your
Okay.
essay, what things one should really I would say look up when they're applying in the
Yeah, yeah.
States?
That's a very relevant question, and
Hmm.
there's a clear difference that I felt.
Hmm.
Uh, that big difference is that universities in the UK,
Hmm.
uh, they still have a very traditional sort of education system. It's not as modern as we see it. They are still more interested in knowing from you what is your interest in a subject. They want to know your story, how you have dealt with this subject, why are you so passionate about this subject. That's all they want to know. And if you have justified it nicely in the essay, they'll take you. Whereas for the US, they mean business. They want to know आप क्या उखाड़ लोगे पढ़ने के बाद. So
Got it.
their focus is more कि आप ये पढ़ के क्या करने वाले हो, what is your aspiration.
Hmm.
So maybe an evaluator in the US university will see your passion and be like, मैं क्या करूँ इस passion का, आप
Hmm.
इसको materialize कैसे कर रहे हो, what are you
Hmm.
doing. So that's a clear difference, and I try to incorporate that in my essays. In the universities in the UK, of course, I told them about my aspiration, but I focused more on my interest in a subject, in a professor's work, or how this university is the right university for me. But for the US, I focus more on my aspiration, my plans ahead, how I will use my learnings in this course to do something after finishing the course.
Got it.
That's a big difference.
I'll keep that in mind for sure. And I hope
Yeah.
other people also. With that, like you also have received a 100% tuition waiver and a scholarship, right,
Ji.
from the University of Oxford. So for
Mhm.
scholarship, do we have to write another essay and apply separately? If you can talk more about that, because I know a lot of students aiming for scholarships because it gets really difficult to just go
Yeah.
without a tuition waiver because it's really expensive.
Right. Yeah, before I answer this question,
Hmm.
Rasleen, small correction.
Hmm.
The scholarship is not given by the University of Oxford. It's
Okay.
an external trust
Okay.
called Weidenfeld Hoffman Trust. बहुत अमीर ट्रस्ट है, बट ये उन लोगों को स्पॉन्सर करता है जो ऑक्सफोर्ड में पढ़ रहे हैं बच्चे.
Got it.
So it's only limited to students at Oxford. For this particular trust application, there was no separate process. While I was applying for my program, I just had to write 4 extra essays
Okay.
that would go to the trust. And those essays were also pretty generic about my interest, what I want to do afterwards, give an example of a time you displayed some leadership quality, things like that.
Hmm.
And of course, there's an interview that happens after you are shortlisted. But to answer your broader question about scholarships, it's not a very well established, clear, path, because
Okay.
sometimes you have to just extensively research, and
Hmm.
after researching also you realize that oh ये तो सिर्फ 300 या 400 पाउंड की स्कॉलरशिप है. तो
Yeah.
बहुत सारी scholarships होती हैं, हर तरह की होती हैं,
Hmm.
mostly external. Some universities have their own scholarships, but those are very competitive. मैं किसी को नहीं जानता जिनको यूनिवर्सिटी scholarships मिल गई हैं.
Okay.
So जो एक्सटर्नल स्कॉलरशिप्स हैं उनके टाइमलाइन अलग है, उनकी वेबसाइट्स अलग हैं, उनका प्रोसेस अलग है. So you just have to know beforehand what is the timeline and separately start your research for scholarships. I did that too, and among the many scholarships I applied to, I only got through this one. Hence, it was an easy decision for me by the end of it that wherever my expenses are covered, I'll just take that university.
Got it. Somebody has like asked a question because I had put up,
Okay.
that this guy says merit based scholarship के लिए कितनी percentage चाहिए होती है? How much weightage do they give to academic performance of yours? Past academic performance of yours?
Okay. The short answer is that every college has a certain criteria. For Oxford, it was 80%.
Okay.
But the broader answer is that it is not a strict standard they keep in mind. My program at Oxford is very academic, but my marks in my undergrad were 64%.
Okay.
So I started with a disadvantage. But if you can compensate for your lack of academic profess through your experience, through your strong essays and recommendation letters, and in the interview, if you are able to answer their questions, then it should be okay. But of course, they give a lot of weightage to academics. But if you haven't performed well in your undergrad, then you can compensate it through other ways, like I did.
Okay, great. And what are the set of questions they ask in interview? Just is it like a
Okay.
personality based interview or they
Okay.
really want to know you in and out?
it's a very quick interview. Like
Got it.
you can imagine that they're interviewing 7, 8 people in one day, a
Okay.
panel of 3, 4 people, and they just want to get an overview of how convincing your arguments are based on why you
Mm.
want to study this. And they just want to mostly also verify जिस बंदे को हमने समझा है ऐसे पढ़ के क्या वही बंदा है जो अभी बोल रहा है. Many people try to fake it, many people try to exaggerate stuff, many people get their essays written. So it's also a chance to verify, what we feel about this person through the essay.
Mm.
Is the same thing coming out in the interview?
Mm.
My questions were very generic again. They gave me a situation that I'm in. They told me that I have 20,000 pounds. How am
Mm.
I going to use it? What aspect will I use it in? This was one important question that I felt they really see my thinking over there. Of course, being the person I was very generic. I said I'll put it in education. I'll put it in people who don't have access to internet. And it was not about how correct or incorrect my answer is, but how true I am to my argument and how is it aligned with what I've written in my essay. Uh, yeah.
Do they really see what you actually want to do it for, like, other people? Like, do they see that, you're really passionate about working for other people rather than just yourself? For especially this field.
Rasleen, they do, but the tricky part here is that there's only some stuff that you can figure out in a 20-minute interview.
Yeah.
So of course, everybody tries to extract as much as they can, but
Mm.
many people can fake it. Many people can fake
Mm.
that 20-minute interview as well and say that, okay, I'm passionate and all that, and think something different deep within. Many people want to just go there for a great life or whatever standard of living.
Yeah.
They will write all kinds of random stuff in their essays and just make up stuff in the interview and still make it.
Yeah.
So you should know, if you really want to just get into these universities, you have to be a good con man or a con woman also.
Mm.
So that's the sad part about these
A lot of people told me this,
scholarships. And yeah, but it's true. So to an extent, I wouldn't say I wrote 100% truth in my essay. There were aspects where I felt, oh, I maybe need to exaggerate stuff to compensate for this aspect, and I did that. And I have to admit that this is what pays
Mm.
with the system, with such competition. If you are lacking in on this front, then you just exaggerate and say that, yeah, I have done stuff here also. I am a Superman.
Yeah, got it. And what was, like, your major reason for choosing Oxford over other universities? Because public policy has a great scope and basically it
Hmm.
origin from the states, right? So what was your reason to just choose Oxford instead of Harvard? Okay.
I wanted to go to Harvard. It's
Hmm.
pretty much the best one in this subject.
Yeah,
But if I have to sell a kidney to reach Harvard, then
got
it's
it.
not
Yeah,
worth
it's
it.
really expensive. Yeah,
Taking a huge loan, it amounts to even more for people like us in the developing world,
absolutely.
the exchange
Especially
rate and all
with
that.
this field, because it does not, like, in the states, like, they have a lot of opportunities, but still I don't think public policy के लिए इतना अभी भी scope है. I know tech
Hmm.
policies के लिए है, but I don't know what बाकी जो domains है.
Okay, you're saying to stay back and work there.
Yeah, because I
Of
know a
course,
lot
it's
of people.
there,
Yeah. Hmm.
but it's never very certain where you'll end up. So
Hmm.
taking such a big risk, if you're coming from a middle class family, if you have to
Yeah.
take a loan, it's difficult. So Oxford is, uh, it was my second choice,
Hmm.
but if it's being fully paid for, then
Of course.
I did not have to think twice. I
Hmm.
just took it up.
Got it. And you talked about that you worked with a member of parliament as well.
Hmm.
So if you can talk about that, how did you land up that internship or
Okay.
like a full-time opportunity with that?
All my professional engagements have happened through connections, through people who I know. They don't get me the job, but they tell me
Of
about the
course.
job.
Okay.
So I happen to know someone who shared a screenshot of a network capital post on Facebook, which was a internship opportunity in this person's office.
Mm.
And I was unemployed that time. My engagement with JNK government was over. I was just on a break. I thought, okay, fine, I can work, as an intern in this office. That's how I got to know about the opportunity. And then, of course, it's what I do as an intern that converts my internship
Mm.
into a full-time role.
Full-time. Mm.
Yeah, but I feel like Facebook, Telegram groups, LinkedIn job groups, WhatsApp job groups. I used to be quite active in those groups at one point. I would post about jobs. I would actively look what kind of jobs are available, even share it with my friends if some nice opportunity comes. So this is how I have got to know about Teach for India. This is how I got to know about my Tata Trust role, and this is how I got the opportunity in my Member of Parliament role also.
But a lot of people say, like, if you want to get through any government internship, then you really need connection. How true is that?
I have never really experienced that myself, but yeah, knowing how governments work, they are not fully transparent about how they're selecting people. It might be true that some are selected on merit, but of course, if it's a government internship, then 40-50% सीट्स तो वो पीछे से चली जाती हैं. नो नेटवर्क गवर्नमेंट के स्टाफ भी सोचते हैं ना कि थोड़े अपने बंदे डालो. तो yeah, that's there. During my time with JNK government, even though it was not an internship, I felt as if a lot of things happen, a lot of opportunities are just closed within their inner circle only. So yeah, that is the case. That is a sad reality. But a lot of governments have tried to change that. There are a few good governments. Delhi government is probably the better that we have.
They're
I've
coming
known
up
that.
with a lot of fellowships also, right?
Right, right. So I wouldn't say it because I don't work with the Delhi government, but I do feel that their selection process in with regards to these fellowships is pretty transparent and seems to be based on merit. But of course, I haven't really experienced it firsthand, so I can't say.
Got it. And what are your future plans after completing this degree? Do you plan to coming back to India? Because I think the
Okay.
scholarship really demands, right, that you have to get back or something like that, or you'll have some
Okay.
other options as well.
Yeah, so the scholarships demand is to work for the global south or to
Okay.
not necessarily be there, but somehow use your learning, your education to better lives in the places you come from. But regarding my plans, ये सवाल सबसे गंदा सवाल लगता है मुझे. I know for a fact that I wouldn't stay back in the UK.
Got it.
Maybe I'll come to India, maybe I'll go elsewhere. See, my whole point of my whole problem with people who think कि master's education is only for a better professional opportunity to reach somewhere higher. I have a problem with that. I feel as if my master's education is an outcome in itself. This is not a means to reach another outcome. I wanted to study in this university. I wanted to study a subject, and this is my outcome. Now, where it takes me is a separate question that I don't want to deal with at this stage. I'm gonna go there with the expectation of having a great student life, of just learning about one of the oldest universities in the world, and that itself is a big achievement for me. I don't want to think about how this achievement is leading to another achievement. I don't have a concrete plan
Got it.
on that front. Yeah, it's just repeating what I said. It's an outcome in itself. It's not a means to reach another outcome.
Got it. I just wanted to know what are your future aspirations like for public policy?
Okay. I have worked in the government and the political space. इस space की ज़्यादा अच्छी understanding है. तो अगर practically सोचा जाए तो लौट कर government schemes पे या कोई politician के साथ काम करके या कोई political party के साथ associate होके काम करूँगा, then I'm using my previous skills and what I'm learning there as well. So that is my rough aspiration, if at all I'm coming back to India. But there are great opportunities in different countries with organizations that are doing so well. And I'm going to be exposed to a lot of different people there. So my aspirations will change as they have in the past also. I've never really planned anything. Everything has just come up, and every time I'm at a crossroad, I take a decision, based on what information I have and the people I have around. So once I'm there, I'm very sure that what I'm thinking now will be completely different when I go there. So सब दरवाजे खुले हैं, कोई दरवाजा बंद नहीं करा अभी तक.
And I want to know, because a lot of people are asking your one piece of advice for someone who's just starting up, in this career, like in this path of public policy. क्योंकि काफी मतलब अभी defined, I wouldn't say path है अभी तक.
Yeah.
So for someone who's from India,
Yeah, one advice is to keep yourself aligned with the future.
Hmm.
A lot of scope is in tech policy.
Of course.
It's an aspect of public policy.
Yes.
But it's just become another subject of its own suddenly because of how relevant it is. My subject is to do with data and using data and technology, along with a lot of softwares that come up to analyze that data. So that's what I feel is sort of aligned with the future because that is the clear shift.
Hmm.
Those traditional methods to design schemes, to implement schemes is sort of taking a shift. So people who are now aspiring to do public policy should also start getting interested in artificial intelligence and blockchain, and they should know everything about the digital world. I am I'm like मेरी उम्र अब निकल चुकी है to learn from scratch, so I feel कि जितना मैं experience कर चुका हूँ उसके basis पे जिंदगी जी लेता हूँ. And I'm of course not a very aspirational person in general. So, but if
It really
someone really
doesn't
wants
look like.
किस्मत है वो तो असली कि सही मौके पे मैंने बात बना ली.
Got it. Got it.
बट ऐसे कुछ करियर ओरिएंटेड आदमी तो मैं
Hmm.
नहीं हूँ.
Got it.
बट अगर कोई है तो you should definitely be seeing 10 years in advance that you know what technology or what new ways of thinking are emerging and
Hmm.
align yourself with those. And of course, a huge aspect of public policy is working with old bureaucrats, old politicians, old thinking.
Hmm.
So you really differentiate yourself when you have this upcoming knowledge. Then your value increases exponentially. So get
Yeah.
familiar with the methods and the things that will be more relevant 10 years later. And of course, you'll have more value then.
Got it. And just if you can just tell us about how one should really approach their essays, because
Hmm.
that plays a very crucial role in admissions and even
Yeah,
in scholarships, right? So, what things
yeah.
one should really cover in their statement of purpose?
Okay. I will not say the generic things. I have two very
Yeah.
important things to say, which people don't say. Firstly, keep this in mind that again, the person who's reading through your essay is
Hmm.
reading 10 other essays.
Hmm.
And if you are writing high vocab, pretentious
Hmm.
words, then they get to know. It's a
Hmm.
misconception that an essay has to be proper English, high level की English
वो
उसमें बड़े
ornamental
बड़े
English, हाँ.
it really puts a person off. I have been reading a lot of essays right now since my admissions have been
Hmm.
successful, and I see that a lot of people, even though they can choose a little easier alternative for a word, they will go with the more hi-fi alternative. They feel that this will make their application more impressive. It
Hmm.
doesn't. It stresses the person out who's reading this because your application on your essay is the 10th one on their table today. You make their life easier. So I was very particular about my font, my letter size, the words I'm using, the just the whole design of it. In fact, I
Hmm.
can share my essays with you also
Yeah.
for the audience or whoever is watching. It's very simple. The format is very simple. I wanted the reader to have this impression after just looking at my page that okay, this seems something different.
Hmm.
That's one thing. And what was the second thing? Wait, मैं खुद भूल गया second चीज क्या थी.
Take your time. Take your time.
Yeah, sorry. So the
Yeah, yeah. It's fine. It's fine. Oh, I've got a lot of questions.
अच्छा ये कहाँ पे आ रहे हैं क्वेश्चन?
Insta पे.
ओके.
So before
ठीक है.
like doing the podcast, I asked them if you have something to ask, from the
Okay,
basic.
nice. ठीक है, so we can take all those questions also. Let
Yeah.
me quickly remember second चीज क्या थी regarding your essays. So the second thing
Yeah.
that one should keep in mind while writing these essays is a lot of people see these essays as a task.
Mm.
Oh, you have to do some work.
Yeah.
I saw my essays as an opportunity. It's a great opportunity to really reflect on your journey, to reflect back on those memories.
Mm.
So I enjoyed writing my essays. It was an opportunity for me to just revise my journey and then bring it out on a piece of paper. See it like that, and your essay will also come out to be nicer.
Mm.
You'll enjoy writing it, and whatever passion that you have towards your work,
Yeah.
invoke it through emotion in the essay. I did that. I bring in a lot of emotion in my essay. And yeah, just don't see it as a task. Don't make it a dull piece of paper. Use simple
Yeah.
words, but make it powerful. It's a skill.
I think that was I was approaching it in a wrong way because a lot of people told me it's such a crucial document. You have to like write it in the most perfect manner or ye sab karke.
Mhm.
So I took it like as a pressure. So when I started writing my
Yeah,
essay, it was very draining. I was like, I've exhausted my energy now. I can't do anything and all of it. So it came as a pressure.
that happens. And a lot of people tend to do that, but eventually they distance themselves so
Hmm.
much from their essay.
Hmm.
Eventually, it does not reflect their personality. And then
Hmm.
in the interview, if at all there's an interview, they
Hmm.
get to know that the
Hmm.
person has not a very thorough understanding of what they have written in the essay.
True.
Of course, you have to make a balance and write the things which will work to your advantage,
Hmm.
but still be true to yourself. It's okay now if it's not absolutely perfect.
Hmm.
Everybody's definition of perfect is also different when it
Different.
comes to this
True.
essay.
True.
And like I said, I wanted mine to be different. So
Hmm.
I was okay with messing around, taking a risk. And I was applying to about 8 universities.
Yeah.
So I was like, कहीं ना कहीं तो बात बन जाएगी. अब वो अलग बात है, हर जगह बात बनना. But I was like, कहीं तो बात बन जाएगी. So I still want to stick to what I believe.
What was the structure which you followed in all these essays? मतलब हर जगह सेम ऐसे
Okay.
भेजा, कहीं ना कहीं तो ट्वीक करा होएगा दूसरी यूनिवर्सिटीज
Yeah,
के लिए. So वहाँ कहाँ पे डिफरेंस आया? I really want to know that.
sure. Structure more or less was similar for
Okay.
all my applications. I start with a generic opening, and then I come to my introduction. What have I done? What are
Hmm.
my learnings from that?
Hmm.
And then I come to my interest in this course and this university. And then eventually I end up with what my aspirations are and how they are aligned with this program. I'll send my essay to you, like I said, and it
Hmm.
comes out very clearly. I've in fact demarcated segments that we have given a small heading, my journey, my interest, or my aspirations, like that. So it's very clear to the reader also that whatever the reader is looking for, they know where to look for.
Okay. And somebody had just asked ki, what will increase the chances of an individual backing a full scholarship?
Okay, it's a tough question, and there is no simple answer to it.
Hmm.
Uh, I have known so many very good candidates who really deserved this scholarship, probably more than I did, but they
Hmm.
didn't make it. A lot
Hmm.
of them will be my classmates now. So when it comes to these scholarships, the process is very arbitrary. It's very random,
Hmm.
and it's like I said, I am fortunate that way that I've got this scholarship, but there is no one single advice which I can give based on which you will get 100% scholarship. That's very unlikely. You have to take a leap of faith. You have to give in your best, but just like any other competitive process, jobs may competitive exams may, a lot of it is left on luck. So you have to, just try your luck that way. I could have said write this and that in the
Yeah.
essays, but that's not true advice. That is of course that is a necessary. You have to give in your best essay.
Yeah,
But
of
even
course.
despite your best essay, sometimes people don't make it. And that is the sad truth.
Are there any components which one should avoid in writing a statement of purpose? Can you recall of any like you feel कि ये तो नहीं आना चाहिए, बाकी जो लिखना है अपने आप से मोल्ड करो स्टोरी को.
Okay. Yeah, so एक तो यही कि जैसे पहले बोल चुका हूँ बाहरी इंग्लिश मत यूज करो which
ठीक है.
puts a person off. They are very quick to detect that. And secondly, many people try to butter the reader, saying that अरे आपका यूनिवर्सिटी तो मतलब मेरे तरह मेरा मंदिर है, मेरा तो मंजिल ही वही है, सब जब से पैदा हुआ हूँ आपके यूनिवर्सिटी में ही पढ़ना चाहता हूँ. ये थोड़ा ओवर हो जाता है. ऐसे भी लोग करते हैं. It's better to focus on the university's interest. Maybe there's a professor in the university you really
Yeah.
like. Talk about that professor's work. Maybe there is a value system the university believes in, and you resonate with that. Like as University SOAS in London, they are really known for a lot of student protests and
Hmm.
student activism in general.
अच्छा.
If you are one of them, then SOAS को आप बोल सकते हो कि I have participated in student-led activism here in my country, and
Mm.
your university aligns with that. So you have to see that, but don't go overboard in your to justify that this is the right place for me to study. It's very easy to detect all of that because the person who's reading it is not like you and me. This is their job. They read so many essays like this, so they know when the person is just saying it just to please me. They don't want to be pleased. They want to be convinced.
So, in general, just talk about your academic interest and probably your future goals ahead with the degree.
फिर आपने मुश्किल सवाल पूछ लिया फिर से. Okay, so I studied economics, but economics is not limited to, as many people think, finance or banking or just all of these corporate stuff. Economics is a lot about how to understand people's choices. It's a lot
Yeah.
about behavior psychology.
Yes.
It's a lot about how to design policies, knowing the mindset of your target audience. That's another component of economics that I focused on. I used my learning when I was with Teach for India to understand the community my kids came from, what methods work in that community, what don't, how to mobilize them, how to convince them that education is important for their children. Similarly, when I was in sanitation, how do you trigger behavior change so that the person is convinced to construct a toilet for their home? There's some aspect of behavior science or behavior economics that goes on there, but I have to admit I never used my rigorous theories that I've learned in my studies. I've never used it in practice. Those are just for me to just form my orientation or bent of mind, but I've never really academically dealt with those aspects professionally later. In terms of my course now, I see that using evidence to design public policies is getting a lot of acceptance. When I say using it, let me give an example.
Yep.
So in India, a lot of rapes happen.
Yep.
And we don't have data. We don't have data of how many rapes happen, or there's no one resource that can tell you the number of crimes that have happened in a particular area. It's all based on anecdotes. It's all based on one person's opinion, and of course, a rape that gets a lot of media attention. And based on that, the government now comes up with policies. Of course, media attention and all plays a part. But if you have a good resource repository, which is a lot of data, then you are very sure of where exactly is the loophole in the policy. You address that, and now with so many new softwares to analyze that data, it's very easy to design policies better. So I want to work in this space, and fortunately, I've got the right program where I can. It's becoming more of a science and less of an art. The whole aspect of policy making.
So these are some of the modern tools, right? Data, evidence. Even like I was reading it somewhere that they were talking about the number of deaths in India during the pandemic. They still don't have the data for it. So they're asking like other countries, like what should they really incorporate in this? Like what scientific methods they should incorporate in public policy to actually gather this data.
No, that's true. And of course, when it comes to deaths in the pandemic, there's a huge political point here as well.
Of course.
They might not want to reveal the data at all. But yeah, the broader point is that using data to design policies is gaining acceptance everywhere in the world. Especially in the UK government, it's pretty much the mainstream. In fact, if you have to introduce a new scheme in the UK's parliament today, you have to justify the need for that scheme using data.
Okay, wow.
It's a new norm that has come up, and of course I want to see that in India as well, that अगर आपने स्वच्छ भारत मिशन इंट्रोड्यूस करा दिया और बस बोल दिया कि यार लोग खुले में शौच करते हैं तो हम कर रहे हैं, but it's not really backed with any data. It's just opinion. It's just age old thinking. Of course there is a need for sanitation schemes, but if you have your data, you end up saving money, you end up designing the policy much better. It's much more effective.
True. And I'm going to take up like a few questions which people have put up.
Okay.
Yeah. I think a lot of people are just, they want to know about the SOP. We've already discussed about that. Another person has asked just what makes a good SOP and how, it can just stand out from the rest. You've talked about it.
I have, and
Yeah,
just to add a point, it's a
yeah,
skill. It's a skill to write simply but powerfully. So
got it.
वो skill आनी चाहिए बंदे को. And if you read a lot of successful essays,
Hmm.
शायद वो आप incorporate कर सको अपने essay पे.
Hmm. Someone has asked, is it fine if we can make our essays written from someone else?
Yeah, it's absolutely not fine. Not only is it ethically wrong, but also
Mm-hmm.
it works to your disadvantage. The person who writes, the person who does such a service,
Mm-hmm.
that person has a typical writing style. It's a machine that's writing for you. It's not going to be different, even if it's, I don't know, it meets all the needs, all the uh, criteria for good essay. It's not you, and it's not unique or different. Maybe the reader will just get bored, yawn, and just say, "Oh, this is not good enough." And if you are really going to study in that university, please write the essay yourself. How
क्योंकि
will you
थीसिस भी लिखने
live
पड़ेंगे
with
ना बाद में.
थीसिस भी लिखने पड़ेंगे? बिल्कुल, आप छोटा सा 200 वर्ड का ऐसे तो लिखो, वहां 20,000 का आपको थीसिस लिखना है. So
Yeah,
yeah, you can definitely reach out to people to review it, to add
yeah,
inputs,
yeah.
to just make edits. I have
Edits,
also
yeah,
done that.
yeah.
But don't make the whole essay someone else's job.
True, true. I think you can answer this question really well. Someone else, how should one
Okay,
integrate economics into policy making? I am a recent graduate of economics honors, and I really want to pursue public policy.
great. So two major fields within economics. One is
Yes,
behavioral economics.
yes.
One is game theory.
Hmm.
Both are gaining pace in the policy space.
Okay.
Game theory is about just understanding how parties interact with each other and
Hmm.
gamifying the whole thing.
Hmm.
Basically, the concept of utility in
Hmm.
economics
Hmm.
becomes a matter of points and benefit
Yeah.
in game theory.
Hmm.
It's a beautiful framework. It's a beautiful model which is more relevant today, and it's gaining more pace. And yeah, so these two aspects are really the ones which are coming up in public policy. Many economists argue that economics itself is public policy.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was
so
reading
that's all.
this book in which they mentioned about how
Okay.
economics really is public policy. A lot of people feel that
Yeah,
economics is just public policy.
which is not entirely
True.
false.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
there is some truth to it.
Yeah.
It's very relevant to, because it's a social science, but also it is a science. It
Yeah.
is both. So
Especially if you
it's
can, I feel
somewhere.
if you can back something with data, with numbers,
Yeah,
it becomes a lot more, I don't know, credible. So
that's
that
true.
also, yeah.
Yeah. So again, just to add this, I'm not a very academic person. I have never
Hmm.
used economics
Hmm.
models in
Got it.
my practice. So I'm
Hmm.
not the right person to answer this, but I know for a fact that if you have to be successful in this field, then economics comes to you as a great advantage. If you are an economics student,
Hmm.
then you can really understand the nitty-gritties of public policy.
Got it. The other question is taking a loan viable for someone coming from a middle class family, especially for a field like public policy, if they want to study abroad?
देखो, अब ऐसे आप मुझे सिर्फ पेडेस्टल पे डाल रहे हो कि मेरे पास सारे सवाल. I can tell you my
Whatever you can
opinion.
tell, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, my opinion is that you shouldn't.
Hmm.
The approach to these courses should be that you're going there to learn, not
Hmm.
to go there to get a better professional opportunity and pay back whatever you have paid already.
Hmm.
If you take a loan, then half of your stress will be कि यार जॉब कैसे मिलेगी, और क्या वो जॉब मेरे इसको compensate कर पाएगी या नहीं खर्चे को. That if you are that person, then
Hmm.
please go ahead and take the loan. But if you are taking a loan to study there, I don't feel that their education is that exceptional that you
Okay.
have to take a loan and spend so much. It's not तो नहीं है. It's a great institution. All these institutions are great,
Yeah.
and you get to learn a lot, but not at the
Yeah.
cost of spending so much money
Yeah.
and undergoing a financial burden for the next 5-10 years.
Hmm.
It's not worth it, but that's my opinion. If you are that kind of a person, if you can be very hardworking and just relentless in your study and just like work like a machine and just think about how much I'm going to earn later.
Hmm.
ऐसे लोग होते हैं,
Of course.
मैं उनको नहीं समझ पाता हूँ. पर अगर आप ऐसे हो तो ठीक है.
I really want to know what's your take on, like, you don't feel that masters is like a stepping stone for you to take to another level professionally, academically, though, of course, but professionally be
Yes.
somewhere.
100% yes, but that's not your primary driving
Got it.
factor to do the masters. Of course, you will automatically reach better positions if you study the program properly. These universities are credible universities. Their
course.
professors are great.
Yeah.
If you are capable enough, you will reach the right places. अभी क्लीशेड लाइन मारनी है तो वही लाइन है, कामयाबी के पीछे मत भागो, काबिल होने के पीछे भागो, कामयाबी अपने आप पीछे आएगी. That is, I believe in that. You
Got it.
work hard and you enjoy the subject,
Yeah.
and you'll automatically be where you want to be.
True, that's also true. Someone has asked, please ask him to explain all monetary requirements even after bagging a scholarship.
Yeah, some scholarships only cover tuition fees. So then your monetary requirements that are your own responsibility is your living expenses, your flights to and fro, your clothing, your food, your parties, or whatever else you want to do. Some scholarships do cover that also.
Okay.
So my scholarship, for example, pays me a stipend, so I can cover my living expense and I can cover my food. They don't cover my airfare, but
Okay.
their stipend sort of is good enough that maybe it can get covered as well. So yeah, many scholarships are only partial scholarships. They will only cover half of your tuition fees. So you have to either take a loan or pay from your own pocket the other half. So yeah, it really depends on what the scholarship is offering.
I'll just take the last question. Does work experience add weightage when applying for PG, especially for public policy, as it's a professional degree?
100%. In fact, this is something that should have come out in our talk also.
Yes.
For public policy masters, work experience is given more weightage than your academic experience. And similarly, professional LORs will be given more weightage for public policy masters. My program is a MSc. It's more academic in nature. And Oxford in general is a more academically oriented university. So for me, my academic LORs mattered more. But my program is not an MPP. It is just a small aspect of public policy. If you are applying for MPP, like I did in the other universities in the US, then professional LORs matter more. And if you have at least 3-4 years of work experience, then of course you have a better case. Got it.
I think, yeah, that is it. Do you have something like to say the ending note?
I just know that the journey is very overwhelming. And if I look back, then there have been times when I was very stressed. I wanted to give up. And what kept me floating was help from people.
Yeah.
I owe a lot to those people, and I am more than happy to help whoever needs that help for the next 1 month. I leave for Oxford in early September. So I have all of August to take queries, to get on calls, and I've been doing that. Not only do I feel I should do it, I enjoy doing it also. I like talking to people and resolving their issues. I've been a teacher, so my teacher instincts come out. I can be reached. Lastly, you can leave my email address or even my Instagram handle along with this video. And I am more than happy to speak to someone. I'm not a fan of generic advice because everybody's in a different position. Everybody's aspirations are different. But my advice is that don't hesitate to reach out to people. That really works.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you so much, Ishan. This podcast is really enriching for someone like me as well, who wishes to get into public policy. So thank you so much for coming and taking
my
precious time.